Kapow. I am Captain Sonya, and I have always wanted to do that.
I know, right? I mean, you're the captain, but I'm the science officer, not the lowest rung on the totem pole anymore. This is so... Oh...
What?
Nothing.
Nice shirt, right?
Yeah.
Thanks. Hey, how come I didn't get a gun?
We'll explain later. You know what? It is Star Trek Day here at King's Comics, and we are going to be exploring many things.
Quite so, Science Officer Al. We will be taking a look at some Star Trek comics, plus a few other general science fiction-y comics.
And I'll be taking a look at a couple of awesome collectibles as well.
Yeah, plus we'll be talking about the new Star Trek film Into Darkness. It is going to be a huge show.
Huge.
Seriously, what's wrong with the shirt? Is it the colour? Is it? It could be brighter.
No, it's nothing. It's a nice colour.
Yeah, you might want to learn how to duck, though. Bob and move. Bob and move.
Now, this being a Star Trek special, it would seem obvious to everybody that we should be looking at some Star Trek comics.
Yeah, that would seem logical.
You're going to keep doing that, aren't you?
I think I am.
Great.
Also, logically, we should probably start with one of the original series Star Trek comics. So we had a look at Star Trek Archives Volume 1, a collection of 3 stories written by Peter David.
Yeah, now this annual kind of underlines to me why the Star Trek comics haven't had such a broad appeal. We start with a single issue story that follows Scotty's on-again, off-again relationship with a woman named Glynis Campbell. It's very much a story of its time, extremely sentimental and unlikely to appeal unless you're a massive Scotty fan.
Yeah, now it does pick up a bit with the second story, a 3-parter called The Return of the Worthy, which plays out very much like an episode of Star Trek. Well, at least one of the less action-packed episodes anyway. The focus is very much on interactions between characters and emotional outbursts, but it's still a decent tale and features tragedy, alien races, and good-natured ribbing between Spock and Bones.
The final story is again very tied to the show, with Kirk trying to write a eulogy for one of his fallen men. Overall, I found this annual just felt a little bit dated, but the feeling of the show was very much in evidence, and all the characters did look spot on.
Yeah, moving forward, we have Star Trek New Frontier, also written by fan favourite Peter David, set within the Next Generation universe and bucking trends by having new characters and a new ship called the Excalibur.
I think the introduction of new things was a really good decision, especially if you're trying to attract an audience that aren't necessarily huge fans of the TV show. As a result, New Frontier is markedly less referential and allows the opportunity to get to know the characters rather than knowing everything about them before you even open the first page.
It strikes a moodier tone than a lot of the Trek comics and provides a good range of character emotion, possibly because he didn't have to slavishly recreate real people's faces. However, although I do agree that it is less referential, I still think people that aren't that familiar with the show may still have a tricky time getting into it.
Possibly so, but moving on to something that we will all be familiar with, we have the trade edition of Countdown to Darkness, the tie-in to the recently released Star Trek movie, written by Roberto Orci and Mike Johnson.
Now, we did look at the first issue of this series in our SFTV mini show, but now with the movie and the trade coming out of Countdown to Darkness, we thought it was worth having a look at the whole thing.
Yeah.
We didn't think that much of the first issue, but what about the whole trade?
Nope.
No.
Didn't like it either. All the problems are still in there. The characters look almost, but not quite like the actors in the film, which is kind of off-putting and quite jarring.
And the plot hints at the plot of the movie, but avoids standing on its toes, which just kind of leaves you with a weak story.
Overall, you're probably better just going to see the movie and giving this comic a fairly wide berth.
Yeah, unfortunately so.
Yeah.
So that's our look at a few of the Star Trek comic options out there. Now, honestly, it was a little tricky to get a hold of many, so hopefully that'll change with the success of the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, if you've read any Star Trek comics that have just knocked your socks off, let us know. Tell us on Facebook, Twitter, or on the YouTube comments. We would love to know.
G'day guys, we're here at Lovesac for a pre and post discussion on Star Trek. Sonya, what do you think? What are your expectations?
Look, I'm really hoping this is going to break the sequel curse.
Yes.
Because, you know, number 2s are always a bit kind of dodgy. So I'm really hoping that this is going to just blow it out of the water. It's going to be awesome. And I can't wait to see Benedict Cumberbatch. So
Yeah, me too.
that's what I'm looking forward
Excellent.
to.
Al?
Oh look, I'm hopeful. I really like the first one. I've heard good things about this one, and you know, if I'm expecting anything, I guess probably Kirk getting it on with some sort of hot alien woman. He's done green, maybe purple this time. We'll see.
All right, well, after some sweet action, I want the storyline to be nice and tight like it was with the first one.
Yes.
And I'm expecting something that's a bit more Empire Strikes Back. I want some falling happening. I want some, you know, downfall. Yeah, that's what I want. That's what I'm expecting anyway. So see what happens. We'll be back soon.
I will make you answer for what you did. You have no idea what you have done. I will walk over your cold corpses.
All right, wow, we've just stepped out of Star Trek, guys. What did you think?
Look, I loved it. I had such a good time with this. It was engaging, it was entertaining, there was enough action to kind of make it really exciting.
Yes.
But that was also kind of, you know, there was a lot of pathos and there was a lot of character development and a lot of, which really was a nice blend of both sides. So
Yeah.
I still reeling. I loved it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Al?
Yeah, look, I think this might be one of those that I actually go back to see again in the cinema.
Yeah.
Although maybe not in the 3D. I've never been a huge 3D fan.
Yep.
But amazing film. Just so well plotted. It moves along at such an amazing pace.
Yeah.
But you still feel like all the important things are getting hit. There's the character development, there's the interaction between people, and there's amazing action set pieces that still feel like the focus is on the actors and not on the special effects. The special effects are supporting the actor. It was brilliant.
Yeah, well, you guys have pretty much said it all, really. I totally agree. The storytelling is just fantastic. You're not really aware of anything, and you're just there for the ride. It's effortless, it seems like, at the same time as you know, nail biting, which it's fantastic. It's a testament to his great directing.
Yes.
So do you think that Star Trek fans will be happy with this film?
I think they will be. I mean, I will put my hand up and say, look, I am not one of the big Star Trek fans. I was a fantasy kid growing up. I liked Doctor Who and I liked dragons and that kind of stuff. So I got into science fiction much older and kind of missed out on the Star Trek. But I think for me, this is such a well-made film that I think there's enough references and there's enough character work that's done that I think if you are a hardcore Star Trek fan, you're going to go, yes, that is awesome. Give me the next one.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that you will, because it really is very cool.
It is.
Yeah.
Al?
Well, I think the real strength of this is that it does cater to both. It caters to the fans by, there's a lot of references, there's a lot of things that it throws in there that the fans are just clocking it and going, oh my god, that's fantastic. But as a person who doesn't have that background in Star Trek, I don't think people are going to feel alienated at all.
Exactly.
You know, they're going to take it on board. And the real thing that I love about it is that I think this is going to have people going, you know what, I've got to go and watch the Shatner ones now.
Yeah.
I've got to go back and watch some original series.
Yeah.
I think people actually who've never seen a Star Trek show before, they are going to want to go and watch them now after seeing that film.
Absolutely. After speaking to some fans about the first film, you know, they thought it was fantastic. And so I really think this one will hit that benchmark as well.
Yeah.
And when you compare it to something like Iron Man, which we saw recently, you know,
largely underwhelmed.
Yes, yeah. So you know, I think this is a bit more of a crowd pleaser. I think.
Yeah.
And what did you think of Benedict Cumberbatch as a villain?
I think he's fabulous.
Yes.
In my eyes, Cumberbatch can not put a foot wrong. Like I've watched his career for quite a while now on TV.
Being
and
a fan of.
Big fan.
Yeah.
Big fan of Sherlock
Yeah.
and everything.
Yes.
Yes. And I think as a villain in this piece, he's just so focused and the laser-like. It's so fascinating to watch him work and seemingly not do anything. And yet he's terrifying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Al, you agree?
Yeah, big fan.
Yep.
He's got an amazing intensity that works so well on a grand scope like this, something that has this much going on. He manages to really hold his own with just that, like you're saying, that laser-like precision, that's amazing intensity that makes him a fantastic villain.
Yeah, there feels like something very organic happening with him in the space. He's really relating to the other actor, and there's some unpredictability about, you know, he's made some really interesting choices as well.
Yeah.
And of course he's got a great stillness as well. That's what we thought, and here's what some of you thought. I'm here with Stephen from King's Comics, and we've just seen Star Trek. Stephen, what did you think of the film?
absolutely fantastic. It was amazing. It's exactly what I wanted.
I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. It was so exciting. Wasn't a big fan of the script, but I loved what JJ did with it, and I'm so excited for the Star Wars films.
Excellent.
I totally agree. I think J.J. Abrams showed that he can take something. I mean, he showed us in the first Star Trek film that he directed that he can do a fan service justice, but I think this one he just knocked it out of the park.
Loved it. Actually, really, really enjoyed it. Yep.
Yeah, I loved it a lot. Much better than the first one. Blew it out of the park. It's incredible.
You're not a hardcore fan, but you're definitely a fan of Star Trek. Do you think it will keep fans happy?
I think if you're a fan, I am a fan, but not a hardcore fan.
Yeah.
I really think if you're a fan of original Trek or any Trek, you're not going to be disappointed by this film. It hits all the spots that you want in a Star Trek film. Abrams has done a wonderful job.
I'm not a Trekker myself, so I can't speak for the diehards, but I think anyone who's a fan of general sci-fi will love it.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that's a very hard thing to gauge because, you know, a fan's relationship to sort of something is very hard and very personal. But yeah, I've enjoyed a lot of the sort of previous Star Trek films, and I had a good time.
I think as well, I noticed so many references in there to sort of things, popular culture references from Star Trek that I recognised. So I think there must be so many more that the diehard fans would have picked up on that I missed. So I'm definitely going to rewatch it again and, you know, see if I can pick up on any of the things that I missed the first time.
And do you think that Benedict Cumberbatch did an excellent job as a villain, or?
He was great as a villain. He really had that acting ability to really bring a lot of reality and intensity to the role, and it's a pretty big role.
It is,
and yet he can bring that you back into the character, and I thought that was spectacular. You really had a sense of menace when he was around, and you didn't quite know where it was going to go, but it was. He had you on the edge of your seat.
Yeah.
He was the best villain I've ever watched, but I love him in every role.
Yeah.
So.
I thought he did a great job of, I think, you know, you see the heroes made their big sort of entrance in the first film, and I thought this one to have a really good antagonist made all the, you know, the hero moments all the brighter, because he was just that, he was a relatable villain at the same time, and I think, you know, having that stiff upper lip, that British charm as well, made him really likeable. Well, sorry, not totally likeable, but it made him a little more relatable, which always makes a great villain.
I think he did an awesome job. I love him in Sherlock, and I think he translates really well into this character. You know, he's really intelligent and plays his part really well. So loved it.
Yeah, he's incredible. He's a complete badass. It's so awesome.
Do you think that those who haven't seen Star Trek should do a little bit of homework, because there's a fair bit of references in there, you know, for the other generations and films and series. So do you think they should do some homework, or do you think they'll still enjoy it regardless?
I think they'll like it. You don't need to do homework, because I think what Abrams has done is he's made those actors own those roles. And so they're delivering those lines as if for the first time.
Yes.
So if you're a fan, you're going to love those lines. But if you're not a fan, you're just going along with the ride, and the story's being told with those lines. And so they're giving those new characters that depth that you want. So I don't think you need to do your homework. Just go in and enjoy the ride. That's what I say.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Stephen. Thank you.
We've noticed with some of the Star Trek titles that we've looked at that they can suffer from a lack of accessibility, especially for younger readers who may well have grown up without Kirk, Picard or Janeway telling them what to do.
Indeed, so in the spirit of boldly going places, we thought we'd take a look at some other good sci-fi titles to see what they're doing differently. First up, we have an offering from Warren Ellis, who is a man who seems to be able to turn his hand to any genre, really. It's called Ocean.
United Nations weapon inspector Nathan Kane is sent on a secret mission to Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, where a research team have made a startling discovery. One which may bring about the end of the human race, and one that is also of interest to an evil corporation called Doors.
It's kind of funny that the evil corporation seems to be a reference to Microsoft.
Yeah.
Ellis is obviously a Mac guy.
So.
But this is a really nice contained story that plays out like many a science fiction film, with advanced technology, a dangerous alien menace, and gravity-bending shootouts. There are some issues with Chris Sprouse's artwork though. At some points I found it a little difficult to follow the action.
That's a fair point. I think it's a good story though, with an intriguing villain and good off-kilter dialogue. It's also got plenty of accessibility, possibly due to the fact that it's, you know, set within our own solar system.
Absolutely.
Now moving on, we look at a newish title, East of West. Now this one in a less familiar setting, The Future of an Alternate Reality.
A reality that has spun off due to a 3-part prophecy written in pieces by General Stonewall Jackson, a Native American called Red Cloud, and Chairman Mao. A prophecy that foretells the apocalypse.
Now, as might be evident from the title, this comic does have a space cowboy feel to it. with Stetsons, shootouts, and robot horses aplenty. It also delves into the supernatural, with the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse finding human form as the end days approach.
I think what sets this title apart from other science fiction like Star Trek is it's kind of overloaded with mystery and mysticism. The characters and their histories are largely unknown, and writer Jonathan Hickman just drip feeds that information really quite slowly to you. This isn't the first time we've seen a combination of Old West and sci-fi, but it's done incredibly well here, and Nick Dragotta's artwork can take a lot of credit for that. It's a grim, violent story that is highly recommended.
Finally, and I've got to say here just quickly, we are in no way trying to spark off the Star Trek versus Star Wars feud.
No.
The last thing we want to do. But we did have to have a look at a Star Wars title, just for comparison, because the fact is, Star Wars has made quite a successful transition into comics.
Yeah.
There are plenty of ongoing titles and storylines running at the moment. So why is that? Why has the adaptation been so much more successful? We had a look at a recent Star Wars title, In the Shadow of Yavin, to see if we could figure it out.
Now, although a lot of Star Wars tales take place in spin-offs and with new characters, this particular one takes place just shortly after the first Death Star's destruction. The Rebels are still struggling to gain a foothold, and the Empire is still reeling after its first major defeat. All the familiar faces are there: Luke, Leia, Han, and Chewie. Even C-3PO makes an appearance.
I've got to say, this wasn't the most engaging Star Wars title that I've read, but it does look really good.
Yeah.
With the characters feeling familiar, but without trying to look like photorealistic representations of the actors. I think Carlos de Anda has done a really good job with the visuals overall.
Writer Brian Wood is mostly just doing setup in this issue, so it's a bit overly talky, but Leia's pretty hardcore, and I agree that it does look really good. So why do Star Trek comics struggle? It's actually really quite hard to say.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because we have to focus on one ship and one crew at a time. Maybe it's as simple as the TV show not running anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, the truth is, it's impossible to really
Yeah.
say. I mean, all we can hope for is that the success of the movies will cause a surge of new successful Star Trek themed comics.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm hoping for, because I really do believe there are a lot of tales left to tell.
Absolutely. Hello, Ray!
Hello, Sonya. Hello, guys.
So you have to keep it still.
What? The turtle wave.
Never mind. What are we looking at today, Ray? Just, Ray.
I wanted to start with the USS Enterprise D ship by Diamond Select. It measures over 15 inches long, and every detail of the Galaxy class USS Enterprise NCC 1701D is recreated right down to the separating saucer section. Also included are light and sound features taken directly from the celebrated Star Trek The Next Generation television series. It's ready to display straight out of the box, and no assembly is required. There's a lot of fine detail and paintwork that's gone into this ship, but when you look up close, she's nothing special. It can look like just a bunch of lines and squares painted on a model.
Yeah, despite how iconic this ship is, under white light she does look a little lifeless.
Yes.
But it's a completely different story when you pop her up on the shelf and display her.
Absolutely, those details really start to strengthen. But as I said earlier, you can actually detach the saucer top and display both parts separately, which I think is cool. But because even these parts are hand painted, look, I'm a little concerned. I just wanted to flag a concern that these tabs joining the two may scratch the paint over time, just with general use. It's no biggie though, because it's not a toy, it's more of a model, so I don't think you'd be detaching and reattaching too often. Making up for this though is the light up feature. By simply pressing the bridge dome atop the saucer makes several of the LED lights activate in a program sequence. They're accompanied by a selection of the iconic sound clips taken directly from the television series, some of which have the lights pulsing on and off with the syllables of the clips. What's your verdict, Sonya?
Look, she's very iconic, and I think if you're a fan of Next Gen, this would be a really kind of proud piece to display.
Yep.
For myself, I am not that much of a fan, and I'm also more... I like people and characters rather than machines and vehicles.
Okay.
So ultimately, I'm going to give her a borrow. If you're a fan, go for it, but me, borrow.
Alright, well look, I was prepared to write this one off actually, but when I considered some of the smaller features, like the two stands sit in one another when you wanted to display the larger ship, and also you can also have that larger ship on a continuous LED light display as well on your shelf. You put all these features together and it really starts to stack up, but I'm still going to give it a borrow because the stands themselves, they're a little loose. You can't really get the model to bank really at a great angle. So yeah, it's just going to be a borrow from me.
Okay, well let's have a look at Kirk here, the
Yes.
youngest officer ever to achieve rank of captain.
Yes, James T. Kirk, captain of the Starship Enterprise, achieved notoriety for his cunning and resourcefulness, as well as having a reputation as a ladies' man. He's 19 inches tall, or quarter scale, and constructed of polystone, which has been hand-painted. With his phaser in hand on a transporter-themed base, he stands ready for action. It's kind of like he's defending his final position before being transported to safety. Beam me up, Scotty!
You know, he actually said, "Energize, Mr. Scott." Anyway, I really like this guy. His shirt is a really nice bold colour, and the detail through the small creases in the pants and shirts are a really nice touch. For instance, how the shirt twists in a certain way because of his stance. I think this is really impressive, and I'm giving him a buy.
Excellent. Yes. Well, look, some of you at home might be thinking this is a little bit boring for a piece, but in context, it captures the essence of that series. And it's an excellent likeness to William Shatner as well. There's only 750 of these made, and even though it's at the upper end of the price range, I'm giving it a buy. Make it so.
That's next gen.
Engage.
No, that's not Kirk either.
G. Earl Grey.
Ow!
Hot.
How do we turn Ray off?
Make it so. Engage. Make it T hot. Engage. Hot. Make it. Make it so. Just find the button. Turn me off, please. Can't stop. Make it so. Holy crap, where did my voice come from? This is ridiculous. I found like I'm a bubbling fountain of goodness. Is goodness even a word? I don't even know. So,
Okay. Come on, buddy.
make it so.
Come on, buddy. It's okay. It's okay.
Engage.
We'll get you some tea.
So our voyage to the final frontier is at an end. But never fear, you can always pop on over to sftv.com.au for a little bit more kapow.
Yeah.
This week we take a look at the movement and 10 grand.
Yeah, but bit of a special announcement. Next week I'll be presenting the show with a special guest host.
What?
What? You didn't get the memo? Now, your evil twin's been captured by guerrillas in Nigeria. You have to go rescue it.
Why? Evil twin?
Yeah, but it's like this paradox thing, alternate reality. If she dies, you die.
Fine, but like, do you mean like gorillas as in, apes or like soldiers?
They were not that clear on that, so I would just be careful. The good news is that Sonya will be ably replaced by Stephanie Hex Bendixson from ABC's Good Game, so that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, okay, just calm down and I will be back, so don't get comfortable.
All right.
Wait, have you seen Ray? Like, I haven't seen him.
Oh God, you don't think because the red shirt and everything?
Shirt. Oh,
Thank
good.
God.
He's okay. Whew. Okay, we'll see you next week, guys. Bye.
Khan!